All right, Joe, did you hear about what the mayor said?
Oh, well, yeah, I think I did.
Mayor Youngstown.
Mayor Youngstown. All right, you ready?
We're taking a turn.
We're going to take a little turn here, and we're going to get into a new game show called Is It Racist? It's a new game show. Is it racist? Joe, you like this one in your studio?
This is good.
Just one might get inspired.
Yeah.
Is it racist? All right, I'm going to play this.
Good thing we have no sponsors.
We have no sponsors to the newest game called Is It Racist? I'm going to try and play this up here. See if you hear it. I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but you got to listen to what he says, and then we'll kind of talk about it.
I 100% disagree with the triangle race leaders in our community, and I will continue to use this as mayor to make sure that when we hire individuals, I make sure they look like us. I make sure they look like our community. They can tell me what I believe, but they can't tell me why I hire. If you look at my administration in the city government, police chief, fire chief, law director, chief of staff. If you look at the young people who work in the city of Youngstown, I'm using my opportunity to make sure that we hire for the next generation.
Okay. He said, just to review,
when we hire, I make sure they look like us.
I make sure they look like us. If you look at my administration, look at the police chief, look at the fire chief, who are all black. Okay?
Yes.
Is that racist?
So, okay.
That's my question. And this is a sticky topic. I know it's a sticky topic, but we have to talk about it.
If I was in there, if I lived, we have a listing on the west side. Go check it out. If I buy this listing that we have on the west side, I win over the people. I become mayor, and I get in there and I say, when we hire people, I make sure they look like us.
Right.
So that's one argument, right?
What if I at my place of work, my loan officers, I hire somebody and I say I need to make sure they look like us.
So, can I push back on this?
Go ahead.
So, look like us. Could that be referring to the demographic makeup of the city? So that if they're representative of what the population is, they want it to reflect in the government?
Yes, until he said the police chief and the fire chief.
And all of them, which all of the different people that he listed
are black.
What do they look like?
Okay.
They're all black.
All right. Dang, that didn't hold up.
I'm just saying.
What do they look like? Maybe he's talking about how well dressed they are.
I don't think he is.
Maybe he's talking about. So here's the problem.
I just can't.
It doesn't even, and I will break it down. Doesn't even have to be a racially divided thing. Well, I mean, it kind of does, but it's not a white or a black thing. It's not. It truly isn't. You're not supposed to hire people based on what they look like, plain and simple. Like
anywhere,
any job, you should be hiring people based on how good they are at that job.
Right.
I don't give a crap what they look like.
Right.
That's how my mind works. I don't care what they look like. If they're white, if they're black, it doesn't matter. I get along with people. If I get along with people, I could give a shit what they look like. That when it comes to being a mayor of Youngstown, you shouldn't be saying like stuff like that. You should be saying, hey, I understand people want somebody that they can relate to. I get that. I love that. But what's best for Youngstown is what's best for Youngstown. It doesn't matter what they look like.
When I hire people at our bank, I hire the people who I think are going to do a good job as a loan officer.
Yeah.
We have.
Don't.
I'm doing it.
Let's not talk about that. No, you're good.
We have black guys.
Oh God.
We have gay people. We have straight people. We have females.
Yes.
We have males. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. But why do we even have to bring that up?
Because I want to bring it up because that's how you're supposed to hire people, Isaac.
I know you're supposed to hire them based on.
I don't look at that. So our mayor of Youngstown is hiring people. Oh, and by the way, the mayor of Youngstown, if you guys don't remember, hired his freaking daughter-in-law.
Yeah, that's nepotism.
When she was not, according to the charts, the best person for the job.
Right.
And they cover it up by saying, oh, HR, she was interviewed, this, that, and the other.
Right.
Bull crap.
Right.
Nepotism.
Right. 100%.
Nepotism. I mean, again, I'm so tired. And then
you can even defend to an extent. You can defend the fact that what percentage of Youngstown voters voting for mayor are black, are white? What's the demographics? What's the, you know what I mean? Like what percentage is black?
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, let's
it
do
up.
it. Let's do it.
But it,
Because because that is how Tito won. Tito was able to go. He went to the black churches and was able to convince everybody to vote for him.
listen,
And he talked to that demographic.
if the people, I am fine. Okay, I am fine if the people want to vote. What's up,
Isaac?
Right.
How are you, sir?
Time. Thank you, sir.
How the crew doing?
We're
Good.
good. How are you doing? How's the
You
mail
looked
route?
through my
You
mail.
still have your job. You're good.
Isn't that illegal?
I think it's only it's
There goes the man.
so. Mailman, I have a question for you. Is it illegal for Luke to look at the front of the mail, or does he have to legally open it for him to break a law?
If you open it, you broke the law.
Yeah, I'm allowed to look at the
He's
front.
allowed to
though.
look at the front.
Dude, but that's just rude.
Not-
It's rude.
But not if the owner of the mail don't want you to.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
See? Isaac's got my
He
back.
doesn't want you seeing his ambiance. His mail from ambiance.
I didn't know strip clubs have charge cards, Joe. That's so weird.
That's so crazy.
There's your demographics.
Okay, so demographics: Youngstown, Ohio, and this is like that would vote for mayor. I don't know if this is
Just total demographics makeup. If you want me to do the electorate, I can do that.
So
Do the
this
electorate,
makes
yeah.
sense though.
Wow.
Here's more detailed breakdown. White non-Hispanics 41%, blacks and African Americans 40%, two plus non-Hispanics 5.8%, 2 plus Hispanic 4.58%.
Interesting.
So it's pretty much split
Interesting.
black and white.
That
you know?
can't, I want to see the voting. I want to see the voting. I think.
Yeah, if you do voters in Youngstown,
Um.
because I don't know if that's Youngstown like as a whole, or if that's
Yeah,
just
it's like
the voting
Boardman, Youngstown.
Yeah, is
we
that
need, like,
including
the city
Boardman?
of Youngstown? Is
Yeah.
what we need.
Because that's the only people who are allowed to vote for mayor.
Let's see here. This is good.
Diversity and ethnicity.
No, that is it. Look,
Yeah, dude, look how close that is.
look at that.
White's 24.6, black is 24.1. But that's a huge chunk of the demographic.
Wow.
That's a huge chunk.
Huh.
I mean, almost
I didn't
half.
know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that at all. I would have thought, wow.
So what the game plan would be his game plan was to go to the black churches, convince every single black person to, if you play that game and you want to do that and say, listen, if you're black, vote for me, that it's an effective strategy. Obviously.
I was going to say, I have no problem with black voters voting for somebody just because they're black, because that's their right to do that.
Right.
Right. I have no problem with that.
You have a problem with a white guy voting for a white guy because he's white instead of black?
No, I really don't, because that's your right to vote.
Yeah, you can
I mean,
pick whoever
it's
you want.
terrible, but
You can
yeah.
pick whoever you want.
You can pick whoever you want.
I can think it's wrong, but I don't. You have a right to vote for
Right.
whoever the hell you want, no
Correct.
matter what you think,
Correct.
even if you're a piece of shit.
I have a problem.
Personally.
Right. Exactly. I have a problem with the mayor
Yeah,
saying, I'm hiring people because of the color of their skin,
right,
not based on their
Right.
credentials.
right,
I would have a problem. I would have more like if it was a white mayor saying that,
right,
what would happen?
right.
What would happen if a white mayor said, I'm only
Right, right.
hiring people that look like me? Like, what would happen? Like, you'd be freaking annihilated.
At a national level.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine?
Right, right. Because it's not about.
It's not about
that.
that.
It's about putting whoever's best.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then I got like, so we posted that video, and then I got messages, and I'm not going to go over the mess, like people saying like the council does it like that. The council tries, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
man, put
Well,
the people who are the best in place.
Right. And as two guys that live in the suburbs, you live in Poland, I live in
Right.
Camden.
And we're talking about Youngstown, and I know everyone's going to be like, oh,
You don't know what it's all about. You live in the
Right,
suburbs.
exactly.
Hey guys, I want you guys to do good so that I can come down here and go to dinner and not get shot. But
right. Or not even just shot.
just
like
spend my
businesses.
money. I want to have fun down here.
I
I
would
want to
want-
do fun stuff.
I would want the smartest people in any area, local, whatever, government,
Right.
Poland Village, Canfield. You want the smartest people that are best at their jobs in those positions.
I want it to get better. Similar topic of conversation I want to ask you about. That's at a national. That's more of a national. level.
Okay.
You have a majority of, I think this is statistically happening. Somebody can quote me if I'm wrong here, or find that I'm wrong here. If you have a college, right?
You have a college.
Best and brightest colleges,
Yeah.
like Ivy League schools, majority of the applicants or the best of the best is Asian.
Okay.
Do you let every person get in there that's Asian?
Yes.
Or do you say, no, we need more diversity? Why? So that's the question. So what they're doing is they're saying,
well, that's like affirmative action stuff.
Listen, we got too many. They're like, listen, we got too many Asians. So then what you, I know, I'm like, if they deserve it, let them in. If they're American, let them in. Like if they're the best, they're the best. I don't care what they look like.
Who cares?
But then the argument would be, okay, all the smartest, the best, and the brightest are all going to be Asian.
Well, they already are because that's what they're getting into college. Like,
right.
But they deserve it.
Right, 100%.
Who cares?
I'm right on the same page as you. Yeah.
Who cares? Just like you guys are talking coaching, they start in their culture. They start with their education when they're 12, 13 years old. The off season for them is becoming the best and brightest. Why not reward that?
It's not sports. It's freaking being smart.
I don't care if, you know what? In Poland, Ohio, where I live, I would not care if all of the township trustees were Asian. Right. If they're the smartest and they're best at their job.
They're just making youngsters. All of them are Asian. It's like totally looks nothing like everybody else.
Right.
Or like something completely like Eskimos. Like just do not represent us at all. Do not look similar to us at all. And they're just making Youngstown awesome. I would have no problem. I would have zero. I was like, do not care what they look like.
Right.
They're doing a good job. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. I'm coming down. There's rooftop bars in Youngstown. There's rooftop pools in Youngstown. All kinds of cool stuff. Like, hell yeah. Bring more Eskimos.
Are we going to get
more Eskimos?
Us talking like this? Are we going to get called entitled white people? Is that is that the road this goes down?
But I'm like defending. Right. I'm defending the diversity though. Like, you ever heard the argument that like the gays move into an area like they did it in Columbus? They moved into like the west side of Columbus. They renovated a bunch of homes and like made them awesome. And then because the gays like had their little community, there, they made the east side. I forget what part of Columbus it was. Awesome. All these other people flocked to it. And then like people in Columbus are like, send more gays. This is awesome. Like and then people like, I heard it on a talk show and then people were like, send gays to Youngstown. Yeah, right. Like send them over here. I could give a shit. Like
I don't
make it better. Yeah, make it better. It doesn't matter what your anything is. Just do a good job. Right. I don't care. So if you only hire the black population, why would anyone want to be a part of the city? This extends to other things too. Why would you open a business when the mayor hates you and wants you to fail? Why does this help investment in the city? So my argument would be, why would you open a business when the mayor hates you? I don't think and I'm defending Tito.
Yeah.
I don't think Tito hates white people. Saying that you want to hire people that look like you, I disagree with that. But at the same time, I don't think Tito Brown hates white people by saying that.
His point, he goes, sorry, Joe, one more time. He went in, if you listen to the whole thing, he goes in a little bit farther into saying him hiring black people helps the city and gives the youth something to look up to and a representation.
Right.
Which
I don't think that's wrong. But at the same time, can they look up to a white person, like or any colored person if they're doing a good job and making the city better?
What are you teaching your kids by saying I only hire black people so you can look up to only black people?
Right. And as a melting pot, shouldn't we have all people of all colors and races and whatever in all these different communities, and so that these kids growing up see people as role models that they say this person's a role model. It doesn't matter what they look like. It's a man or a woman in my community that's doing awesome, and I can relate to that. And they came from my community, and I can be better too. Like, what do you got, Joe?
All right, so I got interested and involved in business from late 80s, all the 90s, and today. Mm-hmm. And Youngstown has always been famous for their ethnic groups that stick together. You had the Italians, you had the Greeks, you all these people. What they would do is they would hire within their own ethnicity. Mm-hmm. They would deal with customers and contracts within their ethnicity, and they grew those groups because they kept outsiders out.
The Greeks do that.
For sure.
The Greeks
it still happens even today, for sure.
Yeah.
And so like when I first got involved in business, I infiltrated a lot of those groups, and which would have never happened
Right.
in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So this is just like a continuation of how the things are done in Youngstown. Either you scrap it and make it all a meritocracy, right? But in government, I disagree with that, because I think in private business you can get away with a lot of that stuff because you have choice of who to do business with.
Right.
But in government, that's not, you're representing people and your constituencies and whatever, and it's just not a fair version of it.
In theory, your hiring should reflect citizens. 80% black hiring should reflect that.
Why?
But that's, see, Lynn, it shouldn't be 80% because it's not 80% black. It's 40% black. So even in your own argument, they shouldn't all be black. 40% of them
I think
should be
she's
black.
just saying. I just think she's saying as an example, 80%. If you have an 80% black
But
town,
can you have a white person representing a constituency that's black and represent them well? So you're assuming because they don't share your skin color that they can't somehow defend you.
They don't understand you.
Right.
They don't understand you.
they don't
I don't buy
understand where
that.
you're from. They don't understand
buy
your
that.
town. Like I've heard some of.
What if you have? So haven't you guys ever seen the videos online where they have they're blind, right? The people in this test are blind, and they're all they all can't see one another. And the test is there's 8 people, find the white person. And what they did was they took a white kid that grew up on the street in this town was raised by a black family, and the people around him voted out all, like, in each round you ask him questions, each round you vote somebody out until you find the white person. He made it all the way to the end because he was raised by a black family, grew up, and was able to get all of the lingo and understand all of the culture. So if there's somebody that grows up in Youngstown community and they're white, black, whatever they are, they know the culture. It doesn't matter what
you grew up in a neighborhood. You're a white guy. You understand the people that live in that area. 100%.
So it doesn't matter if they come from the community and they're the best. I don't give a crap what they look like.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, but even not even coming from not even coming from the neighborhood.
But they in government they have to.
Right, but let's say I move into Youngstown.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really good at being a city manager, or I'm really good at being a construction manager.
Yeah.
I'm really good at planning this stuff.
Right.
I'm not going to get hired.
Right.
To do a good job. My goal is to do the best job I can.
Right.
I know my stuff.
Right.
But I'm not going to get hired by the mayor of Youngstown because I'm white versus black. And I didn't grow up here.
So,
but my job is to organize
the
construction, organize this stuff. I'm very good at.
That's happened. That has happened in Youngstown.
There have been
people hired that were to do the marketing and do city planning and stuff, and they left after a couple months because they're like, "Hey, I did planning in Denver, wherever it was. I forget where she was from, but they hired her." And she was getting pushback, like, "No, that's not what we do here. No, that's not what we do here." But she's like, "I have experience making towns better that are bigger than this, and we should follow suit because they're nicer than our town." And they're like, "Nah, we don't do that around here."
Well, that's stupid. That's a whole nother thing. When you get into the towns saying or towns or organizations, that drives me crazy. That's not the way we do it. That's got to drive you crazy too.
Oh, for sure.
You're like me. It's like you want to be cutting edge. You want to do different things.
But when it comes to voting, though, like if somebody from outside the town moves to Youngstown, he lives here for a year, and is like, "I want to run for mayor." I understand how the voters would be like, "Hey, you're not from around here.
That's fine. That's different.
And I don't want to vote for you because I think you would move us in a different direction. That's not about us."
We're not talking about elected officials.
Right.
We're talking about hired positions that have a job to do.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have a hired position, you should be hiring at any job, city, state, federal, Joe's companies that he owns. You know what I mean? You're going to want to hire the best people.
Yeah. Connie says, is his daughter-in-law still working for him?
Yes.
What happened with that?
Yes. She got hired.
Does he still drive that car that he bought with the water money?
She got hired. She was 3rd on the list. But because she lived in the city, she got bumped up. There's like bonus points for living in the city on this rating scale. She was 3rd. If you take away the living in the city part, she was like 8th out of 7th out of like 8 people. And she got hired.
So she was 3rd, and she got
3rd with the points. I mean, but they said, "Oh, she was great for the job," and the people didn't know it was the mayor's daughter-in-law.
Yeah, I'm sure they did it. I'm sure they did.
Bring back the mob. Bring back the mob. Nepotism. Yep, that's wrong. Yeah, the whole thing. Joe, did you have something? Were you going to say something?
I said it to him when you were away.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my brain just filtered back. I just can't. I just hire the right people. Hire the best people.
Hire the best people.
And end of story. I know what the mayor was saying. I know why he was saying it, but
Right.
that's wrong.
You know what I want to hear from? And I was gonna ask Isaac, the mail guy, but I was too scared because he's on the job and I don't want to.
Yeah,
feel
we don't want to
pressured.
get him in trouble.
But I would love for a black person to call in and tell us if they agree with that or disagree with that. You want me to call Akil? I don't think.
Akil won't talk about it.
Can we call out?
Yeah.
Call Akil.
Text him and let him know you're calling. Don't
Poor
just call
Akil.
him
I bet you
live,
do this
for
to
God's
him.
sakes.
Hold on. Let me ask him.
You can't just call him. Poor Akil. He's like, Akil's been like, could you imagine living with Isaac and call him?
Cannot-
Please
cannot
stand by,
imagine.
please, gentlemen. In pickup, it's probably doing something.
Probably working like he's supposed to
Let
be.
me call him again. Hold on.
Going to our black correspondent, Akil.
This is a bet. Hey, what you doing? Hey, so the mayor said some things. Did
He
you hear,
knows.
did you hear about what the mayor said?
I sent it to him.
Hey, if I call you right now,
you talking
from
about?
our radio show, can you, as my black friend, can you be our black representative and discuss your opinion of it as someone who used to live in Youngstown?
Not gonna do it.
Okay. He said maybe another day.
Told you he's not gonna do it.
Smartest guy in this room.
Thanks, Akil. Love you, buddy. Bye.
And that's why I hired him, because he's smart.
He said maybe another day.
And that's why I hired him, because he's
I was
smart.
like, I with Akil, I've been like, hey, maybe we should do our own show where we just like sit down, shoot the shit, and like say like mildly racist things to one another and see what people think. And he's like, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that.
All right. Do these words make anyone of any other race?
Alex
Yeah,
Alex
I
says,
can't.
do
My
these words
brain's not
make
working.
anyone of any other race, not just white, confident in opening a business here or even applying for a city
I see what you're
position?
saying.
That's my point. You guys are focusing on white people. What he said extends to
Very
everyone
true.
else. Jews, Asian, Native
Very,
Americans, Middle
very
Eastern,
true.
Hispanics, etc. It scares everybody away.
We were.
Sixth, John said.
That is very okay. 6. Sorry, John. Alex, that's a good point. We're just looking at it from our point of view, being white.
Right. Which
You're
is why
also taking out everybody else.
everybody who's not looking like him.
What if you have people looking to invest in Youngstown and he says something like that and you get some Jewish people or some Asian people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That are looking to invest in
Yeah,
this guy. And
Because what
yeah.
he's basically saying is we're on the side of people that look like us and not
Right.
you.
That's a good
to an
point too.
extent.
Good point, Alex.
To an
Good
extent.
freaking point.
Yeah, let's just say that you had a project you want to bring before council or to the mayor,
Yeah.
and you're not of the preferred
Color.
skin color. Like somebody who doesn't have as good an idea as you do
Right.
is going to get preference, and that's just wrong.
Or like you said, yeah, exactly, Joe. So he's making those comments like that. Is he thinking like that when he's talking about grants for businesses?
Exactly.
Or is he talking about, are they saying, well, this isn't a black owner? This isn't, this guy's,
Is he thinking that? Yeah. This
is he thinking that?
Or you have somebody who's got a really good idea and then a black business owner or somebody who looks like him, whatever that is. And then he's like, well, that person looks like me. I'm going to pick them over that person, even though their idea is better.
Grants.
Yeah.
Tax
Businesses.
abatements.
Anything.
Anything. Wow.
That sucks.
That sucks.
That really sucks.
That sucks. And like Alex, not just from white, from any point of view other than that,
Right.
that's crazy.
Right.
How could you as a mayor say that?
Right. And I do, and at the same time, I do think like being represented is important. And I feel like groups feel like they should be represented, but I don't think that changes the fact that you should still hire the best person. So like, oh man, I love Derek McDowell, and I've had conversations with Derek McDowell where I'm like, listen, man, I would do what you do because I love the way he talks. I love the way he runs a business in Youngstown. He's a all around good dude. And I think at the same time, like I've told him, I would take Tito's approach on top of your approach and go to the black churches and try and get that 40% of black. I would 100% do that.
You're trying to get
Because I think it's going to have to be a black. I really do.
Getting elected is different than hiring.
Right.
That's the way I look at that.
Right.
You can't compare those two things, right?
Yeah.
Like
you
just can't.
But I'm somewhere in the middle, man. I think I don't know.
But like
That's compared to the rest of the United States. Like I think the rest of the United States 13% black. And then Youngstown is 40% black. That is a huge chunk of the demographic. And that was voters, right? 40% voters.
Yeah, yep. It lines with total demographics too. So the voter rolls were a little bit higher.
Exactly the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
It's just
and I do think it's sad that not a lot of people in Youngstown that live in Youngstown are voting either. It's very sad that
dude, it's
there's like
terrible.
over 40,000 people in Youngstown and like
10,000
10,000 votes.
Yeah,
that's depressing.
That's crazy.
That's depressing.
Yeah, there's like 40,000
And that's not including us. That is
registered
just
voters
in Youngstown. That is just
So think of that. So you want to
City
complain
limits.
about not being represented, right?
yeah.
But you only have a fourth of the people voting.
And it is your right to
bonkers.
not vote, and I respect that, and I love that about living in America. But at the same time, it's like, man, you want your town to get better. You got to get out there and vote for people.
Right.
You would not believe the amount of felons that are allowed to be hired. You guys should really look into who is hired. It's crazy. I don't know enough about that.
Yeah. I don't know either. 70.
John White, 7,600 votes
That
in
was
2021.
It wasn't
That's
even 10,000.
freaking depressing.
7,600 out of like
That
40,000.
Is
Or it might even
depressing.
be more. Maybe 60,000 the amount of people that live there. 40,000 are registered.
It just sucks. That just sucks.
I just can't. It's crazy.
That's really sad.
It's sad. It's sad.
Really, really sad.
It's sad. So the only people, like in my mind, I know you don't have to vote. It's your right to not to vote.
right.
If you didn't vote, you shouldn't complain. I'm gonna tell you that too.
Right.
If you live in the city,
Right.
you shouldn't complain.
You want change. You have the ability to make that change through voting, and you don't.
76. I'd love to know of those 7,600 people, how many were black and white. You can't.
So that's
can we find
the
that one out?
demographic, right? That's that
No.
40%.
That was just the registered voters.
Oh.
Of the 7,600 people in 2021, how many were black? How many
I
were
don't
white?
sign any documents. Well, I guess they could take it off my license
They take
when I go to vote.
Asian.
Yeah.
How many was
They
that?
take your-
Can you is that? Okay, we're gonna look it up. Hold on. This is gonna be interesting here. Can't find it?
No, it's just giving me overall numbers. It's not giving me demographic breakdown.
It would be so interesting to know how many of the 7,600 people were black and white and Caucasian and Asian and Chinese and Native American and all that stuff.
Whatever.